Good morning, everybody, and happy Motivation Monday. I'm back, and I do want to say a big thank you to Tammy for the last few weeks helping me out because I was traveling to some of these sales centers, helping them increase their output. So the last few weeks, Tammy's been going over the common sales mistakes. It's a series by Stephen Schiffman, and I hope everybody's getting a lot out of that. But today we're going to jump back into the sales process series that we've been doing. This is my personal favorite part. It's called fact finding. Some people call that the investigation step. But personally, this is the most important part of the sales process, especially when it comes to health insurance. So I'm pretty excited to jump into this. So happy Motivation Monday, everyone. So for, I think, 2 or 3 new people here on the phone, this is kind of the process we're going to go through. We'll start with the tip of the week, usually just some general information. We're going to go into some sales trends. And in the end, we're going to end with the sales technique, which we talked about is kind of fact-finding. So we're going to start diving deep into that. Anything that we do go over today is recorded and will be put into the AHCP training library. So anytime after, probably will be put up tomorrow. So after tomorrow, you can go in there and you can rewatch some of the information that we're covering today. So don't worry, it's not going to be a one-hit wonder here. So tips of last week, some things that Tammy went through is really finding and using your lead credits there. So it's kind of the HCP sales cycle of success lead program, and to keep in mind, you do earn credit on every HCP sale. I know this is something we talked about, back in maybe January or February, and we really want to make sure you guys are using them because you have to use all your lead credits. It kind of breaks Tammy's and my heart when we watch lead credits expire. Not that great to see. We really like you to use them. You can purchase more lead credits too with credit cards. If you have any questions on those actual lead vendors or any of that type of information, please reach out to us, let us know. Either Tammy or myself can make sure to help you with that. So the tip of this week, I thought we kind of go through something a little different. It's more of based on client retention, I guess, with NHIC products, since that's what we seem to be selling the most of right now, is really those NHICs. So first, it's kind of actually educate yourself and your client on what happens to the client's back office. So when your clients enroll there into any NHIC product, so again, that's going to be like the TrioMed, the Intrium Care, the AHCP, which we're selling a ton of right now, they're going to get an email that's going to ask them to do an e-signature and to log into their own personal VIP member benefits. For your knowledge, in their back office, they can print temporary ID cards right away. So after you sell that Intrium Care, so that short-term medical plan, your clients can go and print their temporary medical ID cards. If you're not doing this now, add this to your sales process that you want them to print their temporary ID cards. The reason why, if they actually have those physical cards in their hand, what it's going to do, it's going to increase their retention. That is one of the most important things. When people buy something, like we're talking about with dental there, they want to have something in their hands. They want to have something they can use right away. Having them have those temporary ID cards is going to be something that they have in their hands. Something that they're going to say, hey, physically, I bought something. Instead of buying an intangible or a product they can't see, it's going to let them have a product they can actually see. So recommend first part of your sales process after you close them and they go through and you submit that application, they're going to have to sign their e-signature here and then tell them to print their temporary ID cards. Also in their personal back office, they can access their lifestyle innovation benefits. They can also change payment types. I know one thing that I used to get all the time is going to be, hey, can you originally draw it out with my credit card and then can we switch it over to a bank account? Not a problem. Your client can actually do that. They can empower themselves. Another thing I used to get too would be, can I see those policy documents? Not a problem, they'll get them, and they are going to be in their own personal back office. Again, when your clients enroll into the policies with NHIC, they're going to get an email, and it's going to ask them to go through and make this account. This is really useful. And again, biggest thing I want you to take away from this, tell them to print their temporary ID cards. So this is just kind of a retention tip of the week. And another one I have here too, let's make sure I didn't jump too far. Okay, perfect. Is going to be member services. This may be a number you want to give your clients after they enroll. What member services can do is it can help them with claims and cancellations. One thing I recommend, and if you haven't sat through one of my short-term webinars, I highly recommend it, is with short terms, write the policy for as long as possible. Some states have rewrite rules. If you don't know the rewrite rules, reach out to me. I will definitely get those to you. Some states don't allow any rewrites. So you want to make sure that your client's going to have the policy for the time they need. So they're not going to call you up and say, hey, Dan, guess what? I need another 10 days after this 30 expire, and they're in a state where I can't rewrite the policy. With short terms, I write it as long as possible, and I let the client choose when to cancel. Member services is that number. So feel free to give them that member services number. That can help with the claims. It can help with any cancellations. You can use member services too if you have not started using it at all. Member services is if you go through and accidentally screw up the name on the ID cards. Not that we would ever do that, or if we mess up the name on the policy packet or put in the wrong address, that's when we can use member services. So the two things is make sure you know about the VIP member benefits, but also member services. So if you have any questions on those, reach out to either myself, reach out to Tammy as well, and we will go through and help you with that. So next we're going to take a look at some AHCP trends. It was kind of an interesting week as far as it goes. We did have an increase in major medical sales, which is odd as we know because we are in the special enrollment period, or the SEP. Looks like we had a few qualifying life events going on there. Personal thing too, because of the start date of the 5/1 is probably why we had a big increase there in major medical sales. Also, we had an increase in short-term medical sales, which is a given because we are in the short-term period. I'll let you know that we should have expected sales growth here coming in May, June, and July. Those are usually when we're going to get a little busier, so expect to see your sales increase, which is great because it also means your paycheck's going to increase. Personal favorite there. Again, with those short-term medical sales, though, we did see about 80% of those sales being those NHIC products, so the interim care. So about 80% of the short terms are still going there in NHIC. There was no real change in the accident sales. I thought there might be a little bit of an uptick. Keep in mind accident policies are ones that pay out the most, but there was, just to let you know, a huge increase in TrioMed. So the NHIC product, that's an accident, the critical illness, and the accidental death, pretty big increase in that. Also, slight decrease in critical illness, not by a lot, again, just a few policies, and then really no change in dental. So let's kind of jump to the meat and potatoes here. So a few weeks ago, we started to do a deep dive into the sales process, started the kind of the investigation series into what makes an effective sales process. This is one of the two series that we are running. The other one, which was Tammy, which was talking about those common sales mistakes. So we started originally with the introduction about 3 weeks ago. If you haven't heard my ideas behind it, it is in the training library. Please go there, listen to it. It'll help you set up your whole sales process. That's why the introduction is so important. With the introduction, again, you start with that unexpected pleasantry. You go into the why you're calling. The next is why your client should listen, and then it's going to end with, then it's going to have the WIFM, and then end with the explanation of your process. Again, the WIFM is what's in it for me. So again, it should go something like this. Hi, is John there? Hey John, thanks for taking my call. It's Dan. I'm a health insurance agent here with AHCP, giving you a call because your request to be contacted about health insurance. What I do here is I save my client on average about 15% on their health insurance. Does that sound good to you? Great, it does. Well, John, what I do here is I'm going to go through and ask you a few questions about your current health insurance. Together, what we're going to do is we're going to customize a plan to best suit your needs, and from there, we'll make any changes needed. As long as you like what you hear, we're going to get you applied for that plan today. And, well, with the end, what you're telling your client is, guess what? What I'm going to be doing is actually doing fact-finding. I'm actually going to be asking you questions. You're setting up your sales process to say, you know what? I want to talk about your needs, and I want to actually investigate with you. And as long as we figure out the problem, I'm going to match your needs. Guess what? We're going to close you today. So starting to take a look at fact-finding, to accurately solve their problem, you just need to do that effective fact-finding. I will tell you, when we originally talked about that sales process a long time ago when we went through the whole thing, it is the part where you should be spending most of your time. Honestly, most important part, it should be about 70% of your sales process. If you're sitting there and you are doing the best planned presentation you have ever done, but it meets 0 of your client's needs, what you're doing is you're wasting both your time and the client's time. But if you spend the time here in the beginning, you'll be able to find out what the client's needs are. You'll be able to match it correctly. You'll be able, when you do the plan presentation, talk to the client, talk about their needs, input them into that conversation, and really make closing that much easier. I was reading an interesting description of fact-finding last week, and one thing I read is, a prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. That is the same with the sales. Without doing fact-finding, you're really just winding up having paybacks in the back end. So you don't want that. So honestly, I do find that fact-finding is the most important part of the process. One thing I like to do with new agents is when they are having issues closing, I start by listening to their fact-finding. If anybody here wants me to listen to their sales call and you have recorded it, please do send it to me and I will dig through it and we'll listen to some fact-finding together. One thing I do listen for in fact-finding is that the client should be doing most of the talking. Like Tammy mentioned, one of the biggest sales mistakes agents make is talking over their clients and not listening. It is really common as an agent. You know, we are so knowledgeable. We know about the processes. We know about the products, and I just want to inform the heck out of the client. No, let them talk. This is their soapbox. It's their soapbox to complain, and the more you can bring out, the better. Also, another thing I listen for are the agents giving the client a chance to talk by asking really open-ended questions. You're looking for the client to spill, not just yes. So what open-ended questions are is they are a question that is not going to trigger a yes or no answer. One thing you do in the plan presentation that's different, plan presentations should really have more close-end questions. Like, can you see how these benefits are going to help you? Yes, not a how. A how and kind of a why, those are more open-ended questions. You want in the fact-finding for them to talk. You want them to spill, where in the plan presentation, you want them to say yeses. So at the end of the sale, the last yes is the easiest. So again, whenever you're going through fact-finding, you really want to ask those open-ended questions. So since you already set up fact-finding, since you already said, hey client, guess what we're going to do? I'm going to ask you a few questions and assess your needs, and then I'm going to match the correct product. These are, I think, kind of the main 5 questions that you need to ask as far as it goes in fact-finding for health insurance, right? So keep in mind, this isn't exactly for life insurance. This is more based off health insurance and health insurance ancillary products. So the first one you want to start with would be the current insurance situation, which is really kind of the reason why they're calling you, obviously. You know, one thing that I like to do is just make sure that I know kind of where we are starting. It just kind of starts the conversation. It's one thing you two both have in common is, hey, you know, what is your insurance situation? Kind of, you know, what are you looking for? The one thing about fact-finding too, as you are going through these questions, the way you are asking them is to let your client kind of spill, and if at any point their expectations become unreasonable, like, hey, you know what, I'm calling because the insurance plan that I'm looking at is actually $10 a month and it's only paying for 95% of everything I own. Whoa, I will not be able to top that. That is your work plan. Maybe we should take a look at some ancillary products. You can actually set up expectations here. That is the nice thing about fact-finding. So with all these, what you hear from the client, you actually need to listen to it. You need to hear it out, feed it back, and clarify. What that means is that you need to ask the question, let them spill, repeat it back to them what you heard, but in a more simplified manner, and then get them to agree that that is what they said. I know it seems stupid. I know it seems repetitive, but for the client, it's going to seem like you are listening, and you need to do the hear it out, the feed it back, and the clarify on all 5 of these steps. So the first is the current insurance situation, which helps determine what you can sell them. So if they have a major medical right now, maybe they're actually calling looking for those ancillary products. So this one is usually really short. It's just kind of setting up the dig in. The second reason I usually start with, which is kind of the reason for the call. So how I set that one up is I go, so you know what, all those plans that you've been seeing around, what about them have you not liked that's caused you to call me today? More than likely, they have been shopping. Most people try to shop online. People want to buy their insurance online. People don't like always talking to salespeople. So I'm going to assume, hey, guess what? You've actually been shopping online, but what about those have you not liked that made you pick up the phone and give me a call? Yes, we're still going to get those customers that, hey, you know what, they found your number or they've heard really good things from friends and they're just going to pick up the phone and call you. And they'll tell you that right now. Hey, you know what, I actually haven't started shopping. Great. So what made you pick up the phone? What made you want to give me a call today? You know, the reason for the call is you want to get a solid, why are they shopping? What are they unhappy with? Why are they shopping? This should honestly let you just bring out all the negative in the whole conversation. You know, what have they been unhappy with that's caused them to pick up the phone and call you today? As far as it goes with plan usage, you're going to be digging in a little bit, right? Again, you're going to be hearing it out, feeding it back, and clarifying. This is going to be how they have used plans in the past. So first you're going to talk about, hey, what's your current insurance situation? Next is, why the heck did you actually pick up that phone and give me a call? That's going to be, so the plans that we're going to look at, what kind of benefits are they going to need, or what have they used in the past? Thing about this that you have to be careful, which I noticed a lot about with people's plan usage, is that they want to sound like an investigator almost. They kind of go Sherlock Holmes on people. That creeps people out. That actually puts them off and makes them not want to talk to you. So with plan usage, again, I like to try to keep it simple. I like to look for raw numbers. So the first one is, you know, anybody who's going to be on this insurance package, do they take any prescriptions? And people are usually like, yes. How many and what is the cost right now? That's going to let you know, hey, maybe they're taking 5 prescriptions currently and they're going to need a plan with a really low deductible that they will hit really, really quick. Or, hey, guess what? I don't take any prescriptions. I'm perfectly healthy. That's great. That's going to let you kind of increase the deductible, maybe go with something higher, and start telling you maybe they're looking for a plan with the big what if. Keep in mind with all these questions, though, you want to make sure it's for everybody who's on the plan. The second, I actually just look for a raw number on this one. So how many times in the past year do you go to the doctor? I'm just looking for an on-average number. And again, I'm going to go through everybody on the plan. If I hear, oh man, I don't go to the doctor, like myself, you know, middle-aged man, I don't like to go to the doctor. I'm not going to go to the doctor. That is a common trend for people like me. So when people ask me, how often do you go to the doctor? I'm like, you know, it's been a while since I've actually visited a doctor. That is fine. Those are things you want to hear. But if you're talking to somebody and they say, you know what, actually I go to the doctor every other month, so I'm looking for a number, so 6 times a year you go to the doctor on average, that's great. The next is probably one of the most important questions, and again, I'm just looking for numbers. So with prescriptions, I'm looking for what? Doctor's office, I'm looking for how often they go, and I'm really just looking for their consumption or plan usage here, obviously. So how many times in the past 10 years have you had over $1,000 in medical bills? That kind of lets me know about their accidents or maybe any critical illnesses, and I can ask for what. Nothing wrong with that. Again, you don't want to be too harsh on the people. So how many times in the past 10 years have you had over $1,000 in medical bills? Some people will say, you know what, 4 times. If you think about it, 4 is kind of a high number. That means how many times in the past 10 years have you potentially come close to hitting your deductible? 4? Okay. Or how many times in the past 10 years? You know, I've never hit my deductible. In your head, that should say, guess what? I can actually expand the deductible, maybe add in some of those ancillary products like accident. So when they actually go in, you know, and use their insurance, which is more than likely going to be an accident, there's benefits for them. So, hey, you can do a $5,000 interim care with a $5,000 trio med. Perfect match there. And then if there's anything scheduled in the future, this helps you set up if you're going to sell a short-term product, because we know with short terms, pre-existing conditions and pre-existing appointments are excluded from contract. So if they do have something set up, you can let them know right there. So, I mean, these are the questions I go through with plan usage. Feel free to make them your own. Feel free to expand them. Some people really like to dig in. Some people will ask about dental here. But kind of the things I want to know about is how often do you go to the doctor? How often do you hit your deductible? What are you taking prescriptions for? Because anything that they're not going to tell you about going to the doctor will come out with that prescription question. And then anything scheduled there in the future. After that, I will jump into budget. So I kind of set it up saying I could give you the best healthcare package in the world, but if I haven't kept it affordable, I really haven't helped you, right? Well, what is an affordable monthly budget range I need to stick within? And some people will say, I want the cheapest plan as possible. You know what, I understand the cheapest plan as possible might not be a good fit for you. What I want to know is what is affordable, what is not going to take food off your table as far as it goes budget-wise. Budget can be something you can get stuck on a bit. I don't like to move forward in my sales process until I have an actual answer for all 5 of these questions. I will stick on budget. You know, I need to know if someone's budget is realistically $50, well, guess what? A short-term plan might not be the best fit, but you're going to have these this great ancillary package that's going to probably have a dental and an accident product that's going to be extremely useful for them. Maybe somebody's budget is realistically $500, but guess what? They have never, used their deductible. They've never been in a big accident. That's going to let you probably help them out with a few ancillaries and then also expand that deductible range there for their short term. So stick on budget. Make sure that you have an actual budget. You want something realistic. I will tell you, and I will tell you this for sure, most people know what their budget is when they call you. Yes, they might be kind of shy, and yes, you're going to have to banter a little bit, but you want to know the budget. That way, you're not going to be pitching them a plan that's $1,000 and their budget is $200. When you actually had that plan for $200 that you could have sold them, that would have been a great fit. I mean, this is where you start using your insurance knowledge. And the last one, got to jump back a little bit. And the last one with fact finding there is going to be the start date. I want to know when they want the plan to actually start. Hey, if they wanted it to start, and I get this call, and I'm sure you do, hey, I want it to start last week, and I want to retroact all of my bills from my last doctor's visit last week. Well, we're going to stop here, and I'm going to reset expectations about how insurance works. The nice thing about these 5 is that at any time your client, their expectations become unreal, you can stop here because you're not presenting the plan. This is not going to put a whole kink into your sales process. You can just stop and try to fix it right then and there. Don't blow by it. That's the thing about this type of a sales process. You don't have to wait to the end to find out the objections. This is where you're actually going to get the objections. If you're one of those people who loves to overcome objections, get that huge hammer and beat your client over the head, this is the spot where you're going to do it. Not at the end. Not at the end where you're asking for the money. You're going to be doing it in the fact finding. So at the end of fact finding, you went through those 5 great points, right? So you went through current insurance situation, why they're calling, how they're going to use the plan, when they need it to start in their budget. At the end, what you're going to do is you're going to make sure you are on the same page. A lot of things that happen is, you're going through, you're writing down all these answers. You should be writing down all the fact-finding answers or typing them out somewhere so you have really good notes on your client. What you're going to do is you're going to do a summation statement, or at the very end of fact-finding, you are going to compile all the information and repeat it back to the customer. What that does is you get them to agree with what they want, and you are making sure that you are not missing anything. So it's kind of like, great, before we get into that package, I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. So you're looking for insurance today because this is where you're going to reiterate the reason why they're calling, because you lost your job and you no longer have insurance, right? So what it does to me, and it sounds like you're looking for a plan that is going to help you get to the doctor once or twice a year. That's going to help take care of your prescription coverage, kind of like what we talked about. And that's going to really help you when that big what if happens, since you've gone to the doctor quite a bit recently and you've hit your deductible in the past. And you want that plan to start on June 1st, and we need to keep it below that $350 budget. Is that right? And you need to get a yes here. What you're doing is you're summarizing everything that you went through with the fact finding. It's very, very important that after fact finding, before you even start the plan presentation, this is where a lot of people make mistakes. They get all of the fact finding done and they just run right into the plan presentation. No. You want to make sure you are on the same page, because at this point, maybe there's something in the insurance in their head that you missed, or maybe a question that you didn't do because you got excited. The summation statement, the summarizing at the end, you're summing up everything that you went through, is extremely important. You need to make sure to stop and wait on that. So make sure at the end that you do that solid sum up statement. You hit those 5 fact-finding questions. So current insurance situation, the pain point or why that they're calling, go through those consumption questions, figure out what the realistic budget is, and then when they want the plan to start. And you go through and you re-summarize up all 5 of those, and you hit the client with it and make sure you get a yes. So it sounds easy. It's actually kind of the spot that most people should work on. If you have a solid fact finding, closing becomes easier because guess what? You already found out all the information you need. They've already divulged everything. So it's kind of the most important part of the sales process. That is where you should realistically spend about 60 to 70% of your call or your meeting with your client should be fact finding. This is where they should talk. After they talk, you hear it out, which is them talking. You feed it back to them, which is you summarizing what they said, and then you clarify, which is getting them to say yes. And at the end of all of that, you do a large sum up statement, and then you move into your plan presentation, which we are going to talk about in a few weeks. So if there are any questions on anything that we went through today, or if there's something you want me or Tammy to make sure we are going to cover, please don't be shy and reach out. A lot of agents have been. I really enjoy that. So it is the training at hcpsales.com. It goes right to the training box. It goes to my phone. Please reach out with that. And I thought here we'd kind of end with a pretty good quote. It's Zig Ziglar, obviously. So, you were born to win, but to be a winner, you must plan to win. And the planning to win is the fact finding. Preparing to win is the fact finding. And I hope you walk into every sale expecting it to close. You know, ABC, always be closing. What does that mean? It means that you're mentally there as well. So, you should go into fact finding with the perspective that you will learn what you need to help close the sale. If you have any questions on this fact finding that we went through today, keep in mind it will be posted on the HCP sales.com. It will be posted in that training section, but feel free to reach out to me. And I hope everybody here has a great week, and happy Motivation Monday, everyone.